long time no see, everyone. We've completed our move. We're no longer living in Texas, unfortunately. We're very sad about that, but we have settled into our new house here in Arkansas. We're enjoying it. It's a really nice house. Most importantly, I've been setting things up to get ready to get back started on the Mustang project. But before I actually get to do actual work on that car, I wanted to go ahead and do just this quick little video to sort of illuminate some things about the quality of parts that are available out there on the market. Specifically, the radiator support that you see there on the left is from CJ Pony Parts. And this is just, it's not their CJ Classics line, it's just a regular unbranded CJ Pony Parts radiator support that they sell. The one right here is a Dynacorn part. And what I want to show you is the difference between the stampings, differences in the gauges of sheet metal, and just what overall a better quality part that the Dynacorn radiator support is. This one from the one on the left from CJ Pony Parts retails for about $69.99. This one I bought for, I don't remember the exact price, but it's about $120, $130. And what you're going to get from this is that you get what you pay for. So I want to just real quick show some up close shots of these and demonstrate what the differences are between them and why, if you got the money, I definitely recommend spending a little extra, getting the Dynacorn parts, because the Dynacorn stampings are probably about the best stuff you're going to get, other than if you can find some original NOS sheet metal. So now you grab the camera and we'll take a look. So right away, some of the things you can notice looking at these different stampings is just the sharpness of the lines, the crisp pressings that are present in these, especially this Dynacorn when compared to the CJ Pony Parts one. One example. Well, before I go any further, let me say that these radiator supports are for 67 to 68 Mustangs. Now they will fit that car, but not without some modifications. The distance between the frame rails is pretty much the same from 65 all the way to 1970. The only real difference that allows you to fit much bigger engines in the 67 and up cars is they redesigned the shock towers to allow for much more room in the engine bays compared to the 65, 66 cars. So it's really the shock towers that makes the 65, 66 so small. But other than that, this radiator support will fit just fine between the frame rails, and I'll just have to modify the outer sections to work with the Fender aprons on the 65, 66. That new Fender apron that's sitting there is also a Dynacorn part, and it's just sitting there. It's not installed yet, but I just set it there to see how it looks, and it looks like it's going to fit fantastically. But back to this. So areas like this, you see how that's a very nice stamping. They obviously have a very good die for this. There's a couple parts that were bent a little bit during shipping, but no big deal there. Very nice across the top. Nice smooth transitions between the curves. This one comes with the hood bumpers, hood bumper brackets pre-installed. This one also comes with the cross member, which I'm not going to use this cross member. I'm going to remove it before I put it in this car. I'm going to use the original factory cross member. I just have to pound out some dents and the usual stuff. So on this one, the CJ Pony Parts version, when this first arrived, I knew right away I wasn't going to be using it. Basically, my experience with working with the CJ Pony Parts sheet metal stampings is if you can get something that take a look at what they have on offer, and if they're offering something, say under their CJ Classics line, sometimes it'll have a Dynacorn part number, and if it has a Dynacorn part number, sometimes you can get away with it, and they'll actually send you a Dynacorn part. Although that's kind of rare. I believe the outer rocker panel that I used to do the rocker panel repair on this car was a CJ Classics branded part. But things like the torque boxes, those were actual Dynacorn branded parts that I ordered from CJ Pony Parts. But you'll see areas where the quality of the stamping dies is very low. So They just, areas here where the sheet metal needs to shrink a little bit, it doesn't happen, and you end up with this really bad ripple effect. Other areas right here. So these are areas where you have curves where as the sheet metal gets folded over here and as it gets curved right here, you're going to end up with more sheet metal here, and it's going to have to be shrunk. But a good stamping die won't leave these wrinkles, but that's just not what you have here. And you see like the shallowness and it just doesn't look good. It's not a very good stamping at all. I mean, it would do if you don't have a show car and you're just looking for something to get you back on the road, this would probably work fine. You at least have the threaded nuts pre-installed where you need them. This would work fine for I mean, I'm not building a show car here, but I just wanted something a little better. And another thing to note is that this sheet metal gauge right here, this is actually 20 gauge sheet metal. I don't know if you can see that right there. So this stamping is 20 gauge. I'm not sure of the original sheet metal gauge that was on this car, but the Dynacorn one is 18 gauge. So not only is this a much better, higher quality stamping, it's also a thicker gauge metal. So it's a little bit heavier. It's going to be much more rigid, and we all like torsional rigidity. So it's really not hard to see why this stamping is definitely worth the extra money. So if you give me just a moment, we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the other parts that I ordered for this car. So in addition to the radiator support, I'm also going to be using a 67 to 68 battery apron on this car. Just because the 67-68 radiator support will allow me to use the larger width radiator, and this battery setup that mounts the battery front and rear oriented instead of transverse oriented will allow me to fit that larger radiator and just give me better cooling capacity with this car. So the one on the left is the Dynacorn branded part, and the one on the right is again a CJ Pony Parts no-name brand. So right away it's pretty easy to see the differences in the two. You can see on that bottom portion on both how you have a lot of waviness here. You have this very strange sort of I don't know, hill-shaped sort of bend. Excuse me. Bend over here where it just didn't really get stamped right when it was stamped. Not only that, you have up here at the front, you have another instance where you have this metal. There wasn't enough metal here when it was stamped over, and you can see how areas where the metal should have been better shrunk, it just didn't really get there. It's just not a very good stamping. It's definitely better than the radiator support. Definitely better than that, but it's still not quite there. This one was about, I believe it was about $10 more. I don't remember the exact cost. I'll list in the description. I'll list what the actual retail prices for these were. But this one is the Dynacorn part. Nice Dynacorn sticker right there. And you can just see it's a much better quality stamping. Like here in areas where where you have two pieces that are coming together, there isn't any overlap in these. The bends are nice and sharp. Like over here, like this bend is really nice. It's got the holes pre-drilled for the shock tower, outer shock tower cover, which some may not like that. They may prefer to just drill their own holes, but it wouldn't be too difficult to just weld those holes up and just drill your own. This one doesn't have those hip holes on it. You can see this edge as it should be bent over isn't, and yeah, it's just not a very good stamping. It's very reminiscent of the trunk floor stampings that I put on my car, which I went ahead and went with those because they were good enough. But they definitely could have been better as well. In addition to this, you already caught a little bit of a glimpse of this. This is the Dynacorn one-piece Fender apron. It's actually two pieces that are welded together, but it comes in a single box, all welded together already. And this looks like it's going to fit fantastically. So with the passenger side, I went with the separate rear apron and the 67 and up on the battery side, since I'm going to be using the later model for that. But this is really the same story as the other parts I've shown you. Very nice bends, very crisp lines. It's just it's beautiful, frankly. And so I will be, like, under here you have the where some of the original VIN numbers are at. I'll be cutting that out and grafting that in there when it's all said and done. But I decided to go ahead and replace all these Fender aprons because there's a lot of dents in them. One of the hinge mounting points was ripped out on both sides, and of course I cut out a chunk of this to help me get at the cowl when I was doing that. And some of their parts will have this black EDP coating. Some of them will, as this side come in their weld through coating. Same thing as the torque boxes came in. I'm not a huge fan of the weld through coating, just because really all it is it's a conductive coating that allows the arc to take place. But this coating still has to burn off in order to actually get a good weld. So when I weld this stuff, I still bare the metal wherever I'm going to be welding. And like the 67 battery apron, this has the holes pre-drilled. So that battery apron isn't going to be a perfect fit. The contour of where it goes over the shock towers is different, so I may have to add metal in this area, and I may have to use some extra metal to bridge the gap, because just setting it here in place kind of looks like I may need some extra metal in there, because when I put this one in place, putting this one in place gives me a pretty good idea. And you can see right here, it's not quite there, so I'm going to have to fabricate something to go in that area to bridge that gap, but that's not a huge deal. Overall, I'm very pleased with how this is coming together. So I hope that helps. If you're looking to buy some of these parts for your car, I hope this gives you an idea of the timeless principle that you get what you pay for. So if you want something that's nice and you're willing to pay the extra for it, that's roughly about twice as much as that one. Get that one. It's definitely worth it. You know, thank yourself. It's probably I would wager to guess it's probably going to be a lot easier to fit that. And with my mediocre skills in this area, the less trouble that I can have fitting things together, the better. Stay tuned. We'll be getting back to work on this car hopefully very soon.